Hello and welcome learners. Hope you are doing well with your studies. Today, in this particular session, we will discuss on one of the important classes of Dewey Decimal Classification, that is 300 Social Science. Before we get into details, let's have a look on the arrangement of the discussion. At the beginning, we will start with the library classification and different library classification schemes. Then we will bring some lights over the class of today's discussion, that is 300. Later, there will be some practical example through which we will try to understand the method of classification in this particular class. At the time, I would like to mention you that 300 is a detailed and elaborated enumeration, and the production of publication of this particular class is enormous. So, we have to concentrate on the selected parts of this section, that is from the class 350 to 399. Finally, we will assign you with few self-check questions through which you can evaluate your learning experience. So let's start. Actually, you know that classification helps us to arrange the like things together on the basis of some common characteristic. In library classification, we try to classify the documents on the basis of their subject, so that we can have right book at right place, as well as the user can access the required document with least possible effort. You should have known the Apupa pattern of library arrangement. So we have to use the pattern Apupa. We have to classify the document in a particular way, that is classifying according to their subject. As a result, we can satisfy the different laws of library science as enunciated by Dr. S.R. Ranganathan. So as we are talking about the subject, you know that there are three types of subject. One is simple subject, second one is compound subject, and finally the complex subject. The simple subject is a subject which have no isolate idea with it. It is simply a basic subject. Whereas the compound subject is a combination of a basic subject with one or more isolate ideas. Finally, the complex subject deals with two phases taken from different main classes. Okay, so as we are classifying the subject of a document, there we need some particular standard to classify the document. There are different type of classification schemes for the standards. We can classify it into four broad categories. Firstly, the enumerative scheme of classification. You have heard about the Library of Congress classification scheme. It is actually an example of enumerative classification scheme. The second one is almost enumerative classification scheme. The Dewey Decimal Classification is an example of such scheme. Third subdivision is almost faceted. You should have heard about Universal Decimal Classification. This is actually almost faceted classification scheme. And finally, the fully faceted. The fully faceted classification schemes can be subdivided into two subdivisions, that is rigidly faceted classification scheme as well as freely faceted classification scheme. You know that Dr. S.R. Ranganathan has devised the colon classifications. The earlier editions or the primary editions of colon classifications are the example of rigidly faceted classification scheme, whereas the 6th and 7th edition of colon classification is an example of freely faceted classification scheme. As you know that in the present session we are concentrating on DDC, so before to start we should throw some light on the different characteristic or the structure of the Dewey Decimal Classification. You know that in DDC there are 10 subdivision of classes or 10 main classes, as Dewey has subdivided the entire universe of knowledge into 10 main class, that is from 0 to 9. And each main class has been recorded with Arabic numeral, that is universally popular Arabic numeral, and at least there will be 3-digit class number. And the first digit represents the main class. The second one is for the division. You know that each main class has been divided into 10 divisions and each divisions into 10 sections. So the first class is for the first number in the 3-digit class number is dedicated for the main class. The second one is for the division and the third one for the section. And you should know that DDC is the most popular library classification scheme around the world, and around 2 lakhs libraries around the world are using this particular classification scheme. In 2011, the 23rd edition of Dewey Decimal Classification has been published with 4 volumes. In each volume, there are some distinct features or information. In the volume 1, there is an introduction like any other books. Then there is a glossary and an index for terms used in the glossary as well as in the introduction. Then the manual to help the classifier how to use the schedule as well as the tables. And finally, the tables. In 23rd edition, there are 6 tables from table 1 to table 6 to provide for they enumerated the different isolate ideas. In volume 2 and 3 are dedicated for schedule, that is from 000 to 999. In the volume 2, the class 000 to 599 has been published, whereas in volume 4, the rest part of the schedule has been printed. In the volume 4 or the last volume, there is a relative index to help the user or the classifier to find out the different class number or the isolate ideas from the table as well as from the schedule. So, how to build class number with the help of DDC? Actually, there are 4 broad ways, or we can lucidly tell you that we can build class number using DDC in 4 different ways, primarily. So, firstly, the most simpler one, we can pick class number directly from the schedule, or there may be some isolate ideas in the title, so we have to add the isolate ideas from the tables as well as the base number from the schedule. In the schedule also, you can find some extended subdivision of a class or a range of classes. That particular extended subdivision can only be used with that particular class under which it has been provided, or with the range of classes where it has been located. And finally, there is some add instruction or direction in the part of DDC to add different number with the basic number. So these are the basic conception or the rapid recap of Dewey Decimal Classification and Library Classification Scheme. And you know that in present session we are concentrating on a part of social science. Actually, social science is a study of how people interact with one another. The branches of social science include the economics, law, political science, education, sociology, custom, etiquette, communication, etc. Actually, this is a class which deals that man's thinks about others. That is, a man become social animal during the evolution, and thus all the areas or all the facets related to it comes under the class social science. So in DDC, the class 300 has been subdivided into 10 divisions like other classes. Here, the classes are collection of general statistics, political science, economics, law, public administration, social problem, education, commerce, communication, and finally the custom, etiquette, and folklore. In the present session, we are concentrating from 350 to 399. Okay, so the first important class of this category is 360, that is social problem and services associations. So these are the subdivisions. It comes with social problem and services, social problem and the services to groups of people, other social problem and services, criminology, penal and related institution, secret association and societies, general clubs, insurance, and finally the association. So now, according to our synopsis of the discussion, we have told you that we will concentrate with some practical classification to know the class in a better way. Our first example is occupational hazards of sports person and its residential care. So there are definitely some professional hazards or occupational hazards with every profession or occupation, and the book is dealing with the occupational hazards of the sports personality as well as the care, how to recover them with the residential care. The particular subject comes under social problem and services, that is 360. Under 363, there is other social problem and services. As it is concerned with the public safety, it will be 363.1. Thereunder, the hazards in sports and recreation is 363.14. So, our base number is 363.14. And you can find in 756 page that the class hazards in sports and medicine is started with the asterisk mark, and the instruction in respect to the asterisk read as add as instructed under 362 to 363. So under 362 to 363 we have got an extended subdivision where residential care is 85. Therefore, the number for occupational hazards of sports personality, we have got it from the schedule, that is 363.14. Then the residential care is 85 from the extended subdivision under 362 to 363. Therefore, the number will be 363.148 and 5. Okay, so let's concentrate on the next problem. This is the rescue operation in flood affected districts in West Bengal. You know, during the monsoon, different districts of West Bengal are affected with flood. So the particular book is dealing with the rescue operation, different rescue operations of flood victim districts in West Bengal. So again, it is a social problem and related to the public safety. So we start with 363.3, then disaster is under 363.34, and specific kind of disaster is in 363.349. Under that, floods comes under 363.3493. Again, there is an asterisk marks, so we have to move to extended subdivision under 362 to 363. There is rescue operation in 81. Okay, so we have got the number for flood and the rescue operation, means rescue operations in flood. We have got the number. Now the area notation we have to add. So as there is no direct instruction to add areas notation from table 2, we have to take the support from table 1, that is from 093 to 099, that is Pacific continent countries, localities and extraterrestrial world is under 093 to 099, and there we found the instruction to add table 2. And from table 2, the notation for West Bengal is 5414. According to instruction, we have to use only 09 with the base number 363.3493, and finally the notation for West Bengal. Therefore, we got the class number 363.349, 309, 541. Another important class in this section is 370 education. The publication rate for education is also very good in number. So, education deals with, actually, there are different level of education. These are subdivided in DDC as 371 for school and their activities, 372 primary education, then secondary education, adult education, curricula, 378 higher education, the universities or higher bodies comes under higher education, and finally the public policy issues in education. These are the all different divisions of the class 370. Now let's concentrate on the examples. Our first example is Kidsy, play school chain in India. You know that Kidsy is a very popular play school chain, and our particular title is dealing with different aspect of Kidsy. So Kids is a play school, so it definitely be under primary school. Under primary school, we have got the number preschool education is in 372.21. So we have got all the number for each and every facet. Let's time to synthesis. The number for preschool is 372.21. Then accordingly we have to add 09. Then finally the area's notation for India, that is 5. Therefore the number will be 372.21095. The next example is, or the next title is, use of mass media in adult education in India. In the third summary we have seen that adult education is in 374. So if we start with 374, there is groups, media, computer in adult education, that is under 374.2. Next, use of mass media and computers comes under 374.26. So, use of mass media in adult education, the number will be 374.26. Now, again we have to add the areas notation, and with the help of, definitely with the help of table 1, as there is no direct instruction under 374.26. Accordingly, we have add 09 with 374.26, then 54 for India, that we have derived from table 2. So finally the number will be 374.260954. Okay, the next problem is directory of higher education in USA. You know, directory actually is a list of some person or organization. So it is a type of form division, and as we know that different types of form divisions are available as isolate idea in table 1, that is standard subdivision. So definitely we will get the number for directory from table 1. The next two facets are higher education and USA. USA is area, we will get it from areas notation, that is from table 2. So we have to just find out the number for higher education. This is 378. We will easily derive it from the third summary of the DDC. The number is 378, and the 378 will get a range of number, that is 378.4 to 0.9, that is higher education in specific continent, countries and localities in modern world. There, an instruction written something like that, that is add to the base number 378 the notation 4 to 9 from table 2. Okay, so here we have got the direct instruction to add the areas notation from table 2. Therefore, we have to add the number for United States, that is 73 in table 2, and so we have got the number for higher education in USA, and as we have mentioned that directory is a form division that is available in table 1, and from table 1 we got 0 to 5 for directories of persons and organization. So the number will be 378 as per the instruction under 378.429. We have omitted 42.9. Then add the areas notation for USA, that is 73. We have got it from table 2. Finally, from table 1, we have add the number for the directories of person and organization, that is 0 to 5. Our final number will be 378.73025. This is the number for directory of higher education in USA. Another important class of social science is commerce, communication and transportation. The commerce class, or the commerce, communication and transportation class to be precise, are again subdivided into 381 commerce or trade, 382 international commerce or foreign trade, means trade between two countries, postal communication, communication in general, 385 is for railroad transportation, 386 inland waterway and ferry transportation, 387 water, air, space transportation, 388 transportation, 389 metrology and standardization. Okay, so if we start with the first example of the class 380, the example is trade agreement between India and USA. So, trade agreement between two countries. The title says us it is a document deals with trade agreement between two countries. So, trade agreement between two countries or the foreign trade comes under 382. Under 382, the agreement comes under 382.9. Again, there is a range of numbers that is 382.93 to 382.99, that is for trade agreement by specific countries. There, the instruction says us add to the base number 382.9 notation 329 from table 2. Then, for bilateral agreement, means agreement between two countries, add 0 and again add notation 329 from table 2. So, for bilateral agreement between two countries, we have to use two geographic locations from table 2, and these two notations will be added with an 0 as per the instruction under 382.93 to 382.99. Accordingly, we have to move into the table 2, where we have found the number for India, that is 54, and the notation for United States is 73. You know that if we can estimate which country is predominant in this particular title, then we can use the notation of that particular country first, then the latter one. But if we cannot estimate the between two countries, then we have to put the notation of the country which appears first in the DDC. Accordingly, first we have put the number for India, that is 54, then add 0, then the number for United States, that is 73, with the base number 382.9. As there is an instruction that we have omitted 32.99 because there is an instruction under 382.93 to 99 that add to the base number 382. That's why we have only considered 382.9 to add the area notation of the two countries. Okay, next the problem or the title is Satellite Communication Enterprises of Japan. So you can see that it is a type of communication, but the books dealing with some enterprises which deals with a particular type of communication in a particular country. So there are three facets in this title. One is satellite communication, another one is enterprise, and finally the area's notation for the country Japan. So as we know, the communication is in 384. Under it, the wireless communication is 384.5, and finally the satellite communication, which starts with an asterisk marks, comes under 384.5. And what the asterisk tells us? It tells us add as instructed under 380, that is the main class of commerce communication, etc. Here in a extended subdivision, we have found the number 065, which represent the business enterprises. So we have found the number for satellite communication enterprises, that is 384.51065. Under business enterprise, there is an instruction which tells us that add to 065 notation 329 from table 2. So under this extended subdivision, there we have got the provision for the instruction to add areas notation from table 2. So it became easier for us. So we simply move to table 2 and find out the number for the areas notation for Japan, that is 52, because you know that Japan is in Asia is 5, thereunder Japan is in 52. Therefore, the number will be 384.51, that is satellite communication. The enterprises from the extended subdivision under 380, that is 065, and finally the areas notation for Japan, as there is instruction under 065 to add the areas notation. So we have added the areas notation for Japan directly. Finally, the number will be 384.510.655.2. Okay. Our next example is elevated metro railways of New Delhi. You all know about the metro railways. The elevated metro railway is not under the ground, rather it is over the ground. So, the elevated metro railway of New Delhi. The book deals with about the elevated metro railway which is located or which serve in New Delhi. So it comes under rail transit system, but it is a local transportation system. We know that metro serves within a city. So the local transportation is 388.4 and local rail transit system is 388.42. So under the rail transit system, you will find all kind of railway system that serves locally. Previously, there were a different number for metro railway or elevated railway, but in the present edition, there is an optional number and DDC tells us to prefer the number 388.42 for any kind of local rail transit system. That's why we prefer 388.42. And now this is the number for elevated metro railway. We cannot specify it, but we have to stick on the broader area, that is local rail transit system. All the documents that deals with any type of local rail transit system comes under 388.42, as there is no provision to be precise here. Accordingly, we have to add the notation for New Delhi. We cannot find any instruction or direction from DDC under 388.42. That's why we have to use the table 1 for specific continent, countries and localities and extraterrestrial world, and then gather the number for Delhi from table 2, that is 5456. Finally, the number will be 388.42. Then from table 2 it will be 09, and finally the number for New Delhi is 5456. So finally the number will be 388.420.95456. Okay. The next and another important class is custom, etiquette and folklore. You can see in the third summary the subdivision of different section of particular division 380, and here we will concentrate directly with the example. Our first one is the book. The title is The Muslim Holidays in Asian Countries. So the holidays or the different recess etc. comes under the, or it is related to some occasion, that's why it comes under general custom. They are under special occasions, and finally we get the number for holidays, that is 394.26. And these particular holidays are dedicated or celebrated by a particular religious group. That's why we prefer the number for religious holiday, that is 394.265. Under religious holiday, there is an instruction that add to the base number 394.265 the numbers following 29 in 292 to 299 for the religion only. So we have to take the number for religion, not its subdivision. So here is an example of adding another basic number with a particular class number. Okay, we have got the number for religious holidays, and for Muslim religious holidays, there is an instruction to add from 292 to 299. And we know that in 297 there is Islam, Bahaism, Baha'i faith, etc. So the number will be 394.2657 because we have to omitted the first two digits, that is 29, as per the instruction under 394.265. Okay, and with the help of the table 1, we have to find the number for Asia from table 2, that is 5. Therefore, the number will be 394.265 for religious holiday, then 7 for Muslim. So the number we have found is Muslim religious holiday, and then we have to add the areas notation with the help of table 1 and table 2, that is 095 for the Asian countries. So finally the number will be 394.2657095. Okay. Another example of this section is etiquette and manners during funerals. It is a very simple problem because in the third summary you can find the number for etiquette or manners, that is 395, and if you go to page number 917 of volume 2, there is the etiquette for stages in life cycle. So definitely funeral is related with death. So part of life cycle, our ultimate destiny is death. So therefore it is 395.2. And finally the etiquette related to the funeral, there is a direct number in the DDC, and you will find it in the page number 917, that is 395.23. Isn't it a easier one? So let's start the last one. It's the last one for this particular section, and the title tells us the book deals with Bengali folklore. Folklore is a topic that we find in class 398, and folklore can be subdivided into many different literary forms, and as we are concentrating folklore or folk literature in this particular document, the folk literature is in 398.2, and in 398.204, that is folk literature by language. Here the instruction has been given to add to the number 1 to 9 from table 6. You know that table 6 deals with different languages. So from table 6 we have found the number for Bengali, that is 9144. So as per the instruction, we have to simply add the notation for Bengali that we have found in table 6 with 398.204. So finally the number will be 398.2049144. So this come to an end of the class 300. Let's try some self-check question to understand how you have comprehend this particular class. We have given some 8 self-check question from where you can evaluate your learning skill that you have acquired from this discussion. But as we have mentioned, that the publication rate for social science is enormous. So in this particular section, we cannot accommodate all types of title or all types of problems that have dealt in the DDC 300 class. So I would like to request you to please go to any library where the social science class books have been there and try to classify at your own. That will not only help you to understand your knowledge skill but also help to gain your knowledge. And finally, here are some references for your future reading and better understanding. Finally, hope you have enjoyed the discussion on different branches of social science. Thanks a lot for your interest and curiosity. Wish you all the best for your future. Thank you again.